I kind of begrudgingly respect just the dedication to not getting better at what you do for a living. Just coast through life.
It probably shouldn't even happen.
If you got it, you got to flaunt it, Acid.
You know what? I got a lot of stuff that I don't want to flaunt, and so I just keep it to myself.
Jeremy is really big into the used mattresses. That's an excellent deal.
He has a used mattress store on the side. And we found out that Anthony's friends are all 13-year-old boys. Nice.
Whoever wins gets Acid's ball soap. Clay, how you doing?
Doing a little more poorly after that terrible introduction. I was just fine, to be honest with you.
Hello, Sci-Fi Gangsters. This is the show where we talk about what do we talk about on this show? We talk about video games, comic books, science fiction. But really, just an excuse for me to catch up with my friends and to meet interesting people. I'm Anthony Dinar, well, Dr. Anthony Dinar, if you want to be specific. But today's topic, we really don't have a topic for today. We're just catching up with Noah. That's always a good. That's all you need is to catch up with Noah, who from all the pictures that you've been posting from your recent Magic show look like you had a fantastic time, and I definitely want to hear all about that. Noah, you did mention before the show, did I have a margarita before this particular episode? And no, not today. I will say that I recently did have a margarita. By the way, this is a whole separate topic. Acid, maybe you can chime in on this as well. Of course, I asked the producer of the show here. El Ranchero, kind of going downhill.
I don't know about that. Like, why do you say that?
The past two meals that I've had at El Ranchero, it's not as good as I remember it. I will say this about the margaritas though. They're still fantastic. It's almost like I just go for the margaritas.
I think the problem is you need to get through about half your margarita before you order your food, and then that's when it tastes better.
Well, I'm downing that margarita right away, especially because if I go with my family, because like my family will, like, if we go to a Mexican restaurant, we're not there for a long time. It's like we sit down, the food comes out almost immediately after you order it, because that's what Mexican food is like.
Yep.
And I'm trying to like drink it as quick as possible because, anyways. But I will say this about the last margarita that I had at El Ranchero, and it hit harder than it usually does. Yeah, to the point where I was writing down the tip at the end, and I was having a hard time calculating a tip. And Alinda was like, "Do you want me to do that for you?" I'm like, "Yes, please. Go ahead and do that." But it was that good of a margarita. Noah, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm doing really good.
Yeah, I feel like everyone's gonna think I'm an alcoholic now, because every time we bring up margaritas a lot. I bring it up a lot in my class too as a joke. It's like a running gag how much I love margaritas. I'm like, my students are gonna think that I'm a legit alcoholic. But El Ranchero, maybe not as good. They definitely don't give you as much food as they used to. But yeah. About today's topic, we're just catching up with Noah, hearing about your magic show. But before you talk about your magic show, what's new with you? What's going on with you, Noah?
Really just that, like, just getting, like, producing this magic show with Mario, Carreras, and, it's a lot of work. This show, I think, was a pretty big one, and we are taking a little bit of time off because I'm working on like a solo show.
Okay.
That I should be hopefully performing in the next couple months. But yeah, so just producing the show, just like everything magic. It's pretty much my life right now.
Of course, Mario. It's been a really, really long time since I've spoken with Mario. I'm sure he's doing good. Obviously, we used to went back when I did stand up a long, long time ago. How long? 10 years?
Oh yeah, it was like longer than that, like 12 years maybe.
12 years ago when I'm assuming Mario's doing good.
Yeah, he's doing great. Just being Mario. So it's a really fun, like a fun dynamic because, he's like very silly and just like very childlike, and I'm like very serious, and The whole concept is that like he's like my magician's assistant, and he really, really wants to be a magician, and he's like kind of accidentally like this like magic savant, and it's very, very frustrating for me. And
Mhm.
so like every single show I'll fire him, and then at the end of the show I'll rehire him. But he's like very clumsy and just like fumbles around and like ruins my tricks and things like that. It's pretty funny. It's pretty funny.
Nice.
Fantastic. Did Mario take a break from stand up, or has he been doing it this whole time?
I think he may have taken a break from stand up, but I was gone for a while, and Mario and I just reconnected maybe a year ago. So in the last year, yeah, he's been doing stand up, and I think that he's been doing it. He's been producing that Laughed Out Loud show for um, maybe a year and a half or so. So, but yeah, I think he may have taken a little bit of a break, but he's definitely been back at it for a while.
Do you catch up with any of the Birmingham people? Or about Christopher Davis? Did you talk to him at all?
Yeah, Christopher Davis was on our first Laugh-A-Cadabra show.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so I see him, every couple of weeks. He's doing great. Um, like living off of his art solely. Like
Oh,
yeah, so he's like kind of like living his dream right now. So it's pretty neat.
does he still host comedy shows up there in Birmingham?
He does a lot of improv, and then he has a couple of shows that he does maybe monthly or bi-monthly. So he has one show with Chris. Oh my gosh.
Hemsworth.
Chris Hemsworth.
Yes.
I'm so mad that I just like Chris
It's hard.
Ivy.
Mm.
Okay.
Almost Chris Hemsworth. So close.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Chris Ivy, and then they have it's called the Chris and Chris Show, and they have other comedians on, and they um, like the comedians have to draw a topic out of a hat and do jokes about it. So it's a
I
pretty
always enjoyed doing his shows. I always felt like I did well at his shows, which is whenever when you're driving a long way, and like let's say you like drive 2 hours to a show and you bomb, that ride home is so miserable. It's just so
violent.
absolutely miserable. Versus if you do well, then you're excited and you're also kind of awake, so you can drive safely. But like when you bomb, I remember I did a show in Atlanta one time, and I just I bombed from as soon as I walked up the stage, the audience was like, "No, we're not doing this."
not
And I
pro.
remember too because I was getting the red light from the guy, the host, and like I'm telling you, nothing. And then like as soon as he gave me the red light, one of my jokes like hit. Everyone laughed, and I was like, "Damn, why didn't I start with that joke?" And then this whole show would have been so much because I wanted to end with a really big joke, and when I got to that joke, everyone laughed. I mean, I'm talking it was like dead, nothing, and then all of a sudden, laughter. And I was like, "Whoa, okay." And by that time, I was like already kind of defeated. I guess I could have just like ignored the red light and just kind of kept going with that, which is in retrospect, I probably should have just done that, right, and try to recover. But yeah, that ride home from Atlanta was absolutely miserable.
Yeah, yeah, music off in your head. Like, why did I do that? So
Yeah.
I think there's one comedian he told me that he does like let's say he has four jokes, right? He'll number them like what's like first, second, third, fourth, best. And then he'll do like two, four, three, one. So like the second best joke, the fourth best joke, the third best joke, and then the first.
The
So
thing is, I remember like I wasn't trying out new jokes. These were jokes that did well at other
Mhm.
places, and for whatever reason, like I did it in that particular order because that or was the order that did well. And I'm gonna do exactly the same thing. And I'm telling you, it was just like no, 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 no. And of course, once you start to spiral, and
yeah,
you lose your confidence, and you're not hitting the punchlines right, and it becomes a disaster.
yeah. You ever do the line like, "You guys are great. You guys are."
No, I never could find a way to like call attention because that's the thing. I'm very like it's the way I teach as well. Like I build off the energy of the audience. Like I'm very, very dependent on what the audience is giving me. And if they're giving me nothing, I have nothing. Like I can't, like I wasn't talented enough to be able to like, all right, now I'm bombing. So I'm going to I'm going to say this one thing to try to get them on my side, or I'm going to comment on it, that sort of thing, or, or I'm just going to keep going and just do my show regardless of, I can't do that either. Like I was same thing when I teach as well. Like if I have a class that's just not into it, not providing feedback or anything like that, I lose interest in the class as well. So, but
So what about like crowd work type situation? Did y'all ever do crowd work type situations?
I was much better at crowd work if I was already like doing well. Then I
Yeah.
felt like then I could go, all right. Then you have the confidence to kind of go do some different things and goof around with the audience because you're like, okay, they like me, so now I can goof around. But I was never the kind of person, although in the classroom I kind of do crowd work with the question of the day, but I was never the kind of person who would just walk on stage and go, hey, what's your name, bud? Like I can't start off cold.
Yeah.
If you started off like that, they'd probably fire you. If you started, hey there, guys. That'd be funny to see, though.
I mean, I have my go-to bits in the class. If I feel like if I'm not getting enough energy, like I'll make a joke here or there. But
So you're still rated, one of the top professors at the university, right? How that works?
I mean, you can check out my Rate My Professor, right?
Yeah.
It's not bad. But Noah, do you have a secret for if an audience is just not into it? Do you have a go-to line?
No, I don't. I've like okay, so I don't want to sound like I don't know, but like I've honestly not. I've very rarely been in that position. It's not something that I've really had to um, I haven't been in that position to a point where I'm like, okay, I need to figure out like a recovery.
Mhm.
And I'm very, very fortunate. I think that I've just been the right place at the right time, and like the lineup has been just in my favor. Because like I haven't gone after like really, really, really like just doubled over like laughing comedians. Those usually come after me, and because I feel like that makes it really hard. And then also like a really, really just dead comedian, it makes it really hard because you're having to like pick up the pieces. And then, like with magic, it's just this whole other thing. Like I don't even really have to be funny, because like when I do a magic trick, people are just like, oh wow, you know what I mean? Like it's very rarely are like will I do a magic trick for someone that came to a show to see magic and they're like, oh no. Like they're there to see it and they like because they want to see magic.
Yeah.
A
It's kind of
lot
the same thing with yeah. So I was gonna say it's kind of the same thing with being a teacher too, because like when I'm joking around, I'm goofing around. It's like I feel like I get a pass from a lot of students because like I don't have to be hilarious. I don't have to I don't have to write all these fantastic jokes. I can just be silly, and they appreciate the fact that you have a teacher who's making the class fun.
yeah,
You know?
that's exactly right. Like
Right. It's compared to the other lecture that they had to sit in, like they're just looking at PowerPoint for an hour. It's like, oh, okay, now we can kind of goof around with the teacher for a little bit. He's kind of silly.
yeah, exactly. Like people just appreciate like and like when I am doing magic at a comedy show, um I feel like people do appreciate kind of like a break in like the stand up and like actually something that they can like something they can see with their own eyes. Like because a lot of times like when you're doing stand up comedy, um I know for me in particular, like when people are talking and there's not like a punchline that's being hit like every like 30 seconds or so, like I've started having a dialogue in my head and now I have no idea. Your mouth is moving, but I have no idea what you're saying. And I laugh when everyone else laughs. So with magic though, people don't want to miss it.
Yeah.
So you have people that are engaged or they don't like it at all and they're like, okay, this is time for me to get up and go get a drink or something like that. So who you're performing for, they're pretty like zeroed in on what you're doing. And you say the dumbest joke and they're gonna laugh at it. It's the craziest thing. Like the dumbest jokes just fly. So
Yeah,
everyone
I
should do magic.
learn how to do magic. Another thing about goofing around the class is some of the biggest laughs that I get in the class are the students making a joke, and that will get the biggest laugh. And to me, I'm like, yeah, good. And then I won't try to top it. I won't try to I won't maybe I'll yes and it or something like that. But I'll definitely I'm completely fine with that being the final. You got the laugh. Everybody laughed. That's fine. Right, and a lot of times, those are the biggest laughs when a student says something funny.
Yeah. I love that. I love like when I like go after like a couple of comics have like bombed and like I'll get a lot of laughs like when I'm like I know you guys are here to like I hate to step in and like break up the hilarious like comedy show that you're watching with this dumb magic trick. I know you guys are just wanting to continue like laughing away and like people just think that's so funny and I'm like this is so dumb. Like I'm just being like super mean to these comics that just got up and like told these jokes that they've been like writing for 3 and 4 months that I just saw them like practicing in the mirror and I'm just like disregarding that. Now I'm gonna do this stupid rope trick and like they love it. And like I know that there are some comedians that just get so frustrated with me. They're like, "What in the world? Like why? Why?" And I'm like, "I don't know. It just works. Here, have a rope."
You gotta tell the joke, right? Just destroy everybody's dreams. that one kid that finally mustered up the strength to get on stage. He's 17 years old, and the magician just shit on him in front of everybody. Like I'm never gonna do that again.
Well,
Madison,
so
your
nice.
thoughts on this?
Well, I just think it's very nice that both of you get to laugh at work while I'm at crying at work, because it's so horrible. So it's nice to know that there are people out there who are, having a nice time at work and enjoying themselves, and while there are other folks like me who are in the dumps of the sewer trying to figure out how to fix
Are you still
problems and
getting,
firefighting.
Is it starting to die down? The stress of the
No, it does not die down. No, I don't know what we're gonna do. It's a never and I think that what the problem is. I mean, there's lots of problems, but like my personal problem with this is you can't ever get ahead. Like there's no getting ahead with this. We just come to the realization that we are not going to be fully staffed anytime soon. It's just, at least this year we're not, but probably not next year either. We're just not going to be fully staffed. There's nothing we can do about it. And when parents and whoever else call me and tell me how worthless and horrible I am at my job, I just laugh at that point. So I guess there is a bit of laughter, but it's more of that I'm turning into a psychopath laughter, So it's difficult, but I will say it's nights like these that I enjoy where I can unwind and come together with friends and talk about magic and margaritas, Oh, that's what we should have titled the show, Magic and Margaritas.
Yeah, Magic and Margaritas.
That'd have been better. Yeah. So
Cinco de Mayo themed show.
That's right. So it is what it is. It pays the bills. Whatever. I don't care.
So you're still understaffed, and you're actually right now driving as well? No.
No, they don't want me to. Which
Okay.
I'm not mad at it.
Yeah. So I feel like that would be
but-
like really great material for stand up.
Yeah,
It's like
it would be. Your whole audience would cry afterwards. Be great. So, but it's
Have you tried doing a magic trick in front of the parents? That will help.
well, Well, we're more afraid, and I hate to even say this because like our building is secure, like lockdown secure. One of the reasons is we don't accept outside people to just come. Like we're not an office for the public. Like we're just that's what we are. They have to go to central office if they want to talk to somebody. So if we get anybody, parents or whatnot, that don't belong there, like we're afraid that they're there to do harm, and so we just kind of, no, you need to go over here.
Yeah, I mean that's I find it strange that parents call you up to complain about you when they're literally putting their child's life in your hands
I know.
every single day.
Well, it's to the point where like I'm not nice anymore. Like I'll give them what they want. Like I'll give them the answer that they're maybe not that they want, but I'm not gonna beat around the bush. I'm not gonna do it. And so they're like, well, how are you gonna fix it? I was like, well, why don't you come over here and drive a bus? That'll help us a little bit. Or hey, why don't
Someone
you
that needs a job.
take your kid to school? That'll help us too. So if you want to talk about help, how about you helping us? We've been helping y'all for the last 30 years. Let's flip the script. So the school bus system, and not even just for us, just nationwide, there needs to be a massive conversation on what the future of getting students to school looks like. Because as a nationwide, it is failing. It's not looking good at all. It's terrible. It's not safe. It's not safe. They're undertrained, underpaid, and if I didn't have to, my kids would not ride a bus. Period. If y'all knew what I knew, Anthony, you would not put your child on a bus. I promise you.
That makes me feel so much better. Thank
Yeah.
you.
No, I used to take my son to school every single day. And it was so I lived right beside my work. I could walk to work. And his school was on the other side of the city. So I drove him to school, then drove to work. And like I would never, like there were some mornings that I would have like super early meetings where I could not take him to school. And I would put him in an Uber by himself before I put him on a school bus.
That's probably a better idea. Because I mean, half of our fleet, when school starts in August, it's blistering hot, right? So half of our fleet doesn't even have air conditioning. So they're just
Strange how it's 2024 and there are vehicles without air conditioning.
it's crazy. So I mean, what we're doing is the new ones that we order, however many that is every year, are then put. They come with air conditioning now. Like that's just going forward. They all will. But I mean that's not gonna cycle itself out for at least another 5 years. So it's just nuts. I didn't have AC when I was growing up on a school bus. I rode a school bus, but that was a whole different time. That was when there was only like 20 of us, and our town was not small, but a lot smaller than it is now. So.
I mean, yeah, and I think that the earth is hotter now than that. Weather is hotter.
See, I'm more convinced that the seasons are changing. Like winter starts later and ends later than it used to.
Yeah, like it's just shifting.
Like it's just shifting. So whatever the reason that is, I don't know. Like what global warming or an asteroid hit us or whatever. I don't know. Whatever you want to say. Like it's just. I remember like right now, September 17th. 30 years ago, it was cold.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't freezing cold, but it was cold. Like I went outside today, it was hot as crap outside.
Yeah, waiting for the school bus 30 years ago, in the morning in September, middle of September. I mean, you're wearing a jacket for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. So anyway, I'm not going to be Debbie Downer anymore. So Let's laugh some more. We have
Let's,
people.
let's talk about that.
We have
comedy
look,
show,
look.
right?
We have people in chat. We have many people in chat today. We have Bicep Slicer Boy. We have Apollo Successor. We have Chromageddon Forever. We have so many people in chat right now.
Wait, are you
So,
serious?
I'm dead serious.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, Noah, tell us about the last comedy show you had, or the last magic show, or both. Comedy
Yeah,
magic.
so it's a comedy magic show. We have comedians that come on and they perform magic for the first time before their set. And it was really cool. So we had David Lynham, Vince Fabra, and Ben Palmer. So Ben Palmer is the troll, the internet troll. So he does like the multi-level marketing, trolling, and stuff like that. He's actually I met him when I was doing comedy in Atlanta, like 10 or so years ago, and he's just blown up on the internet. So he was there and he did his presentation, which was so funny. And then we had Vince Fabra, who's kind of up and coming in Birmingham. He's getting pretty well known. He has like a special out on YouTube that's really funny. And then we had David Lynham, who's just up and coming here in Birmingham. So, but they all did a great job. They all performed magic tricks, and it's just such a blast. You know, the first show Chris Davis was on, along with Alice Watley, Paige McBride, and Peter Davenport. And they did a phenomenal job too. Like it's just been a really great experience. So
Which one of your jokes of the night got the biggest laughs?
so I don't really tell like jokes. Like
Right.
written jokes is more like crowd work and improv.
Mm-hmm.
So Mario and I do a little bit of planning for like our interactions with each other because they're so specific. He's supposed to be clumsy and just messing everything up, and we kind of have to practice that. So um, the first show that we did, um, he was I was like doing like this bottle, like multiplying bottle trick, um, where there's just like wine bottle after wine bottle, and they just like come out of nowhere. And I was explaining to the audience beforehand, like, you know, the first time like when I was little, my parents took me to Las Vegas, and I saw this magician, Lance Burton, do this trick, and it was so amazing that I wanted to do it for you guys here tonight. And and then I was like, the only difference between me and Lance Burton, and Mario butts in, and he's like, is that he's like super famous and like a really great magician, and you're kind of a nobody. And it's like, yeah, but he says it with like, it's almost like he's on the spectrum, like he has no filter. Like, but he's saying it like in a way that it's just like everyone loves him and they want him to do well,
Mm-hmm.
but he just can't do it. Like he just and it pisses me off. So like it's this fun dynamic. And then like I fired him before the last comedian came on, and he just like runs off the stage wailing as loud as he can in his like Mario voice. It's like this high pitched voice. Um, and then as soon as the last comedian comes off, I'm on stage like, you know, closing out the show, about to do another trick, and you can just hear him in the green room off mic, just wailing as loud as he can, and it is so funny. It's hilarious, and like, and this past time, like he was on the phone with his mom, telling her how he felt. Like it's just so funny, and like, so, but there's not really like any like jokes written out, I would say. It's more just like kind of feeding off of each other. We know the direction we want to go in, and then we just feed off of each other the whole time.
Yes, it sounds great. It's funny when I asked that question, I was like, yeah, that's a terrible question to ask, right? Because like a lot of these kind of jokes, you kind of have to be there for it to be
Mhm.
funny. Like if I explained half the jokes that I make in class that get a big laugh, like if I explained that to you, you'd be like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Why would anybody
Why is
like
that
it's
funny?
in the moment? I mean, of course, I have my my go-tos, but
Yeah. No, for real. Like it's very situational. Like I had this one trick that I did at the very beginning of the show where I had like a bowl of water with different color sands and we were like building the perfect partner, right? So every color sand represents something different. Everyone in the audience names something. So like if the first like so the first one was like he's a great cook, right? Or they're a great cook. And then Mario butts in with something like, "Hey, Noah, you remember that guy you dated who just like cooks meth?" Or you know what I mean? Like just and things like that. So like and then like one of them was like very like wealthy. And he'll be like, "Do you remember that guy, that girl that just took all of your money or something like that, or just cleaned
Mhm.
out your bank accounts?" And like, I bet she's wealthy now. Would you take her back? You know, and like, and just those kinds of things, like, and then we just have our banter back and forth. But yeah, I would just like play off the audience mostly.
fantastic. Anything in the comments section?
Oh yeah, we got
Okay.
stuff. We got so Apollo, a successor, says the current comedy scene is the best it's been in decades, in his opinion.
And
Like,
where's this comedy scene at? Where is he based out of?
Yeah,
I want to
what
know.
where are you getting this, Apollo?
I would say
And
it's not bad in Birmingham for
yeah.
sure. It's definitely on the rise, and there are people just coming out of the woodwork. Really funny people. Um, So, and they're all wanting to do like stuff. They're all wanting to do stuff that's different.
Mm,
There's like I've been seeing a lot of prop comics, which is something I never saw back when I first started doing comedy. Um,
mhm.
which I think adds like if you can do prop comedy well, like it just adds this whole other like dimension to a comedy show.
Hmm.
So it's almost like magic. But
Looks like he's in Greenville, South Carolina, but Austin, Texas is the obvious answer.
yeah, Austin, Texas, like the whole like Kill Tony thing that's definitely blown up. You have like Kill Tonys that are popping up everywhere. Um, so they
Big
definitely
Joe Rogan guy, Apollo. You bigger than Joe Rogan? Did you
Let's
protein
yeah,
shakes?
let's
Jujitsu
get some
class?
thumbs up in the chat if you're a Joe Rogan fan. Thumbs up.
Your cold plunge?
Bicep Slicer Boy says you have to have good crowd energy for sure. It makes a huge difference if the crowd is feeling it and having a good time. The same jokes that are a huge success in a fun crowd can totally flop in a bad crowd.
well that's he's not wrong. You can that's why like I think that producing a show and setting a lineup is so important. Especially if you are producing a show where you want to have even just like an open mic where you want to have like you're really you want to have a really strong opener. You want to have someone that's going to come out and like get that crowd warmed up for you. You like it's just like any other comedy show. Like you don't go to the Laughing Skull or whatever comedy club is closest to you. You don't go there to see a headliner and then they have like just some dud opening up for them. It's gonna be someone that's really funny. You want to get the crowd like nice and warm, right? A lot of people that I see that are producing shows will make it where like kind of like the most green or like the maybe the least funny person first. And then
Right.
we're gonna go up from there. That is not the way to do it. If you have to have someone on the show that's green, or if you promise someone a spot on the show that's just not necessarily funny, do not put them in the very beginning. You want to put them like somewhere in the middle, somewhere maybe like front middle, so you don't lose that crowd.
Hmm.
Mhm.
You can lose them so quickly. And then you can have the funniest person in the whole world up after them. If the crowd isn't feeling it, they're done. If they're still there.
All right. So, all right. So, Paula says not a fan of Joe Rogan. He says he has done a lot for comedy, though. I'll give him that. Headlines need to make the follow ups not want to go up after them. So, he's bouncing off of what you said. And then Bicep says a cold crowd that isn't laughing doesn't mean you're a horrible comedian, too. Maybe you just need new, and they are a hard crowd. We do have a Joe Rogan fan in here. Chrome Legend is a Joe Rogan fan. Says, I do think there's a risk to what he's doing. Some people lack critical thinking. He's giving voice to people with some controversial opinions.
Oh, okay. Well, definitely, he is a Joe Rogan fan. I can tell by that
There you
response.
Yeah.
He's just asking questions. He's just asking questions.
Joe Rogan is definitely not someone that I would listen to myself, that I would like seek out.
Yeah. I did watch the Netflix special just out of sheer curiosity because I have never seen Joe Rogan stand up before. I've never seen it before. And I will say that I was not impressed, only because not necessarily of the content within the jokes. It's just the delivery in which he presented it is just way too hardcore for me. And I prefer more of a lighter feel to comedy. Like, I don't mind the cursing and stuff. I just felt like there was a lot of just hardcore delivery.
Yeah.
And that kind of comedy I don't appreciate. Like, the only real hardcore type, I'm going to say hardcore a lot tonight, comedy I like is, what's his name? He does a lot of crowd works. The Matt Rife, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, for sure.
So I actually, not all of his stuff, but I do if I'm like flipping through like YouTube shorts and stuff, some of his stuff is like, that's pretty funny. Like, that was
No,
pretty good.
he's definitely funny. I think that it's his delivery, because like the things that he says are not like, it's not smart comedy. You know, some of his stuff is smart.
Mm-hmm.
It's like he had to dig deep for that, you know?
Yep.
But like some of it's just obvious, which I'm not a fan of obvious comedy. But his delivery, and the way it's like the energy you put off when you deliver a joke, like the way he laughs when he delivers a joke, and he's just laughing at how stupid he is or how stupid it was.
Mm-hmm.
Like that to me is just so funny. You could be like the most unfunny comedian in the world. If you have a great laugh and you're laughing at how dumb your joke just was, I'm laughing with you.
Yeah.
That to me is hilarious. And plus, like women love him, right? Because he's so cute. But I agree with you though. Like, I'm not a fan of like filler cussing, super raunchy stuff. That's not my thing. My show, I have a strict like no raunch. Like, it's okay if you like cuss, but like I don't want it to be, I don't want it to be like a filler. Like, we're just filling up some dead space while you think of your next joke.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, that to me is unprofessional, and I don't like it. But like if you have a joke that has a cuss word in it, like I don't care about that. But also, like, I don't like a lot of raunchy comedy. I like very smart comedy. I'm a comedy snob, for sure. So Joe Rogan doesn't do it for me at all.
My problems with, so let me say this about Joe Rogan. So I will be writing a paper about Joe Rogan as an academic scholar. That's what I write about, and I write about this kind of stuff all the time. So I will be writing a paper about Joe Rogan. I will say this about Joe Rogan, and that is, I actually used to like him, like, let's say 5-6 years ago, because he used to have he still does have really good guests on. Like, he would have some like The Undertaker on, and like all these celebrities, and the interviews were like they were good interviews, and they were long interviews, so it gave you a chance to kind of really get to see how a celebrity really was in real life, right? So, and then he kind of goes down the whole, conspiracy kind of bullshit, misinformation bullshit that he does a lot. And that's what bothers me more about Joe Rogan than anything else, is that he does have a platform, and he uses the platform to give credit to, to legitimize people who should not have a voice. But that's my main problem with Joe Rogan. But we don't have to get it.
That's just where the money is, though. Like, he makes more money doing that than he would.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
100%. Like, he knows that he gets more viewers,
mm-hmm.
and he gets more, if he has Alex Jones on.
Mm-hmm.
no reason why you should have Alex Jones on your show. No reason. But he has Alex Jones on his show because he knows that will get people talking. That's get people and of course he validates it. He justifies it by saying, "Oh, I'm giving both sides of the story." Some people don't deserve a platform, right?
Yeah.
Because they're saying bullshit.
Uh-huh.
But that's kind of our media environment now. Is that you can say whatever you want, and if you the crazier stuff you say, the more likely that people are going to pick up on it. Yeah, I mean, that's just kind of our digital environment, right? But anything else? The Joe Rogan fan trying to support his?
No, but the chat keeps going. So we've hit a good topic tonight.
Go ahead.
So Theo Vaughn, Dusty Slay, Mark Norman, and Shane Gillis, all comics that have blown up in the last year.
These are the Rogan crowd. These are the Rogan boys.
Yeah.
that deserve a spotlight they are getting. I've seen Theo a couple of times live. I get not liking raunchy comics. I've never heard of this guy, Nate Bargatze. Am I saying
Nate
that right?
Bargatze.
Yeah. I may have
So-
seen him. I don't recognize the name.
He's
It's a
probably-
very good delivery comic, dry delivery, and is at its finest.
He's hilarious. His dad is a magician. And I was with his dad in Las Vegas just a couple of months ago, or the beginning of August. And Stephen Bargatze is his name. And he and Nate Bargatze are so similar. They even have like the same voice. But it's just incredible that they're both. It's just, and the thing about Nate Bargatze is that he's so. He can take an edgy topic and just clean it up, and like you can listen to it with anyone. Like it's the best kind of comedy to me. I'm not like by any means like a clean comic at all. As a matter of fact, I think clean comedy is the hardest type of comedy to do. Because it's so easy to just like slap you in the face with some raunchiness that you know is going to get a laugh. To not do that and to really just like push through and keep it clean, and like that is just to me like the most difficult thing.
And I think that's what, as someone who's obviously I'm a teacher and I'm not a comedian. That's not but I do like to have fun in the classroom. I like to be silly. I like to make jokes. I do have I have self rules that I have whenever I make a joke. And the number one rule that I have is I never make fun of a student. So that's my number one rule. Because there was one time
What a loser you are.
What was that?
I always make fun of the students. Always.
Well, so there's a lot of reasons why I don't do that. One reason why is because when I first started teaching, I made a joke and it was kind of making fun of the student, and it was bad. It was a bad situation. I didn't like how it made me feel. I didn't like how I made the student feel. And ever since that happened, and obviously my job's on the line a lot of times too, right? So I have to be very smart about what jokes I make. And usually, once again, I'm not making jokes. I'm just being silly. Oftentimes I'm making fun of myself. I set students up to make fun of me, and that's the biggest laughs. Is when I set up a student, I'll set up the punchline for them, and then the student will say it, and then it gets a big laugh because they're making fun of me, and then I'm like, okay, and that's kind of how I get my jokes in my classroom is by making fun of myself, or just being silly or goofy and that sort of thing, or callbacks to things that I said in previous classes, like margaritas, how much I love margaritas, and a student will bring that up in another time, like, did you have a margarita today? And then we kind of get into that, but yeah, I think that's
We're good.
what I do enjoy goofing around the classroom, but I think one of the reasons why I enjoy it so much is because I'm not trying to be a comedian. I'm not trying to tell jokes. I'm just trying to have a fun time. But that's one thing I definitely enjoy about that.
Well, Chrome Legend agrees with Anthony. We're going back to Joe Rogan again. This was the Joe Rogan lover. But Chrome agrees with you. I find his talk show entertaining. I don't really I guess not really like the comedy much, agrees that there's an issue in him giving a platform to people who probably shouldn't have one.
Well, there you go. I agree with that. That notion.
Yeah,
You agree that he agrees with you.
I agree. I'm totally on
You're
board with
agreeing.
him agreeing with me.
you're agreeing. Yeah, that's good.
And if he didn't agree with me, that's okay. I mean, there's a lot of people that love Joe Rogan, and man, the Joe Rogan fans, they will die for him.
Oh,
Like,
also-
They will, like, yeah.
Also thinks your rule as a teacher is good. Said teacher once made fun of him, and it made him really salty and uncomfortable. So there you go.
yeah, and I kind of have, that's my personality too. Is like, I don't want people. I don't want to hurt people. Like that's just kind of my personality, and maybe that's why I never was a good stand-up comedian. Is because I did not. Yeah, I never. There was always a line that I never wanted to cross. I wanted people to have fun and everything, but also maybe I wasn't funny. Maybe that too.
Like, I don't think that's the reason why you weren't great at stand up. I'm just kidding.
Thank you.
No, you're always like you're always very like chipper and nice and like very I don't even know the word to call it, but just like light. But yeah, like it takes a certain kind of person to do like dark humor and like and get away with it, or like self-deprecating humor. But I feel like maybe I'm not remembering this right, but I feel like you were a little self-deprecating, but you made it very like light and like fluffy. I don't know how to put it, but it was like cute, self-deprecating humor.
I think that's so. I had a student who one time she said, "I really appreciated your silliness," and I think silly is the
Yeah.
best. Cute, I can go. I'm okay with cute, but I think silly is
Yeah.
the best. Like it's just we're all having a good time together, and you can't explain why we're having a good time, but it's just the class is an enjoyable experience. By the way, some students hate me. Like I have student like I'll have a student randomly just not on board with what I'm doing in the classroom, but for the most part, I try to make the classroom an enjoyable experience.
Sorry, give me 45 seconds. There's an ad break, but so we're good. We can keep talking. They're just not going to be
Is
able
it
to
really
hear
an
it.
ad break?
Yeah.
Oh.
How is there an outbreak?
So I'm multi-streaming now. So I do the Sci-Fi Gangster YouTube channel like I normally do, but I'm also streaming on my Twitch, and my Twitch has got ads. So
How
just-
long is the ad break?
like a minute. Like they're not long. I don't know. It gives me a countdown timer. I told them
So wait.
I would wait. I told them I would wait till I read more comments after the ad breaks over.
So are the comments from YouTube or from Twitch?
They're from Twitch. I've got both of the what you call it chat feeds like side by side, but
What happened to that guy?
nobody's on YouTube right now.
What happened to
guy?
that guy, Chris? Is that his name,
Chris.
I don't know.
Chris.
There was a guy that was. There were three guys.
Yeah, Jeremy.
Oh, Jeremy. Oh yeah. I was like, oh, Jeremy. Yeah. Yeah, I guess he's working tonight. I don't know.
He's all over the place now.
I'm pretty sure he just hates me. And that every
No,
time
it's
I'm
not.
on, he's like, "Yeah, I can't make it."
Well, actually, it does kind of. So anytime Jeremy can't do it, I think I automatically just reach out to you. I think that's what it is. So that's what it actually is. Is like if Jeremy can't do the show, I'm like, hey, let's see if Noah can do it.
Nice. All right. So here we go. All right, here we go. Ads are over.
That's irrelevant.
Let me scroll back up. We've got a lot of comments, guys. All right, we'll go back to we'll stay on the Joe Rogan topic for a minute. Actually, it's more of a podcast topic. I think the moment we get it, and this is probably a good something to think about or discuss, Anthony, because I'm kind of leaning towards this. I think the moment we get into not giving people a platform, we sometimes creep towards infringing on free speech. To be honest, who gets to decide who gets to talk, and where did they get the authority to choose certain people over others?
Well,
Yeah, go ahead, Noah.
I'm saying like, well, if it's your podcast, obviously you can choose whoever you want on the podcast. So, if you have some loon conspiracy theorist, like they most certainly can have the right to free speech, but it's like on your own platform. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. But I definitely think that he does it for views for sure. And I don't think it's super responsible.
It's all about that money, right?
Yeah.
There's not an easy answer to this question, right? Because obviously, you know, freedom of speech is so incredibly important. But I'll just give you one example. Alex Jones, when he loses a defamation lawsuit because he lied about the Parkland shooting, and he's being sued, like in a court of law, they have determined that he was lying, and so that right there automatically disqualifies you as a person, right? If you're spreading misinformation, and it gets to the point where a court of law says that you were spreading misinformation, you intentionally lied to gain a profit, maybe he needs to go away now. So there's no reason why Alex Jones should now be on Joe Rogan, where you're increasing his platform back, right? So if we're talking about the marketplace of ideas, right? A good idea, by the way, this is in many ways this is kind of a myth. But like the marketplace of ideas, like only good ideas rise to the top, right? And if it's a bad idea, it goes away, right? So if you have a person like Alex Jones he builds up this platform where he gets this viewership because he's spreading all this misinformation, these conspiracy theories, and then it gets to the point where like, oh, okay, he's having negative impact on people's lives because of his lies. In the marketplace of ideas, he no longer gets that platform. He loses it, right? So, and that's one example. Also, a lot of stuff that was happening with COVID, it gets very messy, like in terms of, what's accurate information, what's inaccurate information, because scientists were learning as we were going, and they were trying their best to mitigate a once in a lifetime mass pandemic, right? And the scientists were giving information, the best information that they had, trying to vaccines, and Joe Rogan oftentimes was giving very inconsistent information about the vaccine, and obviously about masks and everything, and just giving credence to a lot of people who just didn't want to wear masks because they just didn't want to wear masks and didn't want to get vaccinated, right? Whatever. So if you have a group of scientists saying one thing, and then what he would do is he would take one person, oftentimes they were not even an expert, like a comedian and then this comedian's talking about how bad masks are and how bad getting vaccinated is. And it gives credence to this idea that it's like, okay, all these scientists that study this one thing, and you got this one person who's disagreeing with them, this person is just as valid as these people. And no, that's not the case. That's not how. Could these people eventually be wrong? Yes. Right. Are they learning over time? It's the analogy that Neil deGrasse Tyson brings up, and I bring this analogy up a lot of times when I'm teaching in my class about how to be an ethical researcher and how to verify that your information's reliable and you're not intentionally using biased sources. And the analogy that Neil deGrasse Tyson uses is, let's say you were crossing a bridge, right, and you were in a truck, and you had 100 scientists on the side of the road before you crossed the bridge. And 99 of the scientists said, you should not cross this bridge. It is unstable. We are engineering experts. If you cross the bridge, you will die. It's very, very dangerous, right? But then you have one scientist or one engineer, maybe he's even an expert, saying, you know what? They all don't know what they're talking about. They're all in on it together. It's conspiracy. They're lying. They don't know what they're talking about. But I do. Go ahead and cross the bridge. You'll be perfectly fine. What would you do in that situation? Hopefully, you're not crossing the bridge, right? And that's the problem with this idea of giving both sides of the story, right? And obviously, we can really critique what it means to be an expert and that sort of thing. But in many cases, what you have, especially when it comes to issues like COVID, is that you have a group of scientists who are saying this one thing, and you have this one person over here saying something different. And then he gives the platform to that one person who's saying something different, saying, oh, this is equal. And no, it's not really equal. And it's the same thing when we look at stuff like global warming and other issues like that, is that you have a group of scientists who study the field and are saying this one thing, and you can find anybody online who's saying something different. And you're saying, see, but I'm giving both sides of the story. Yeah, but it's not really both sides of the story. Right? Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah.
Now, of course, scientists can be wrong, and we have paradigm shifts all the time, meaning that sometimes we discover new things, and we alter what we know about reality based on those things, but it's only through the process
I'd like
that we
to
learn.
I'd like to throw out wine as an example, or chocolate. Okay.
Okay.
So years and years and years ago, right? And you can correct me if I'm wrong. Chocolate and wine, or whatever. We'll stick with wine, right? Wine was good. It's good for you, right? It's healthy for you. You can drink it. Go for it. You're good. Well, a few years later, now it's bad. Now it's bad for you. Okay, don't drink it, or don't drink as much, or whatever the
Let's say
case
all
is.
alcohol. I think
Yeah,
now
or,
they
yeah,
say
all,
alcohol.
we'll say all alcohol. Now it's, don't drink it, or don't drink as much, and whatever. And then it goes back to, oh, well, it's okay, but if you do this. And then it's like, oh no, but now it's bad again because you're doing this. And it's one of those flip-floppy situations. So in my mind, as the consumer of said product, now I'm not listening to anybody, and if I want to partake in whatever it is, I'm going to do it, and if not, I'm not. So, and that, because all of that gets annoying, and I just like, you know what, none of you know what you're talking about, so I'll do it or I won't, and we're all going to die anyway, so what does it matter?
There's so many factors to why that kind of stuff happens. A lot of it has to do with economics and capitalism and consumerism that affects it as well. But like, there's so many variables that go in, like just health and that and fitness. That's why you have so many different fitness trends. It's because like there's so
like
many
which one's
variables.
right, which one's wrong.
It can be almost impossible to determine. I mean, obviously, I think we all, like most fitness scientists would agree that, processed sugars are kind of bad for you, and like natural sugars like fruits and vegetables are good for you, and some proteins are good for you, lean protein. Most people agree with that, right? And most like that. Then of course you get a crazy fitness guy that says smoking is actually healthy for you, right? And then that becomes like the new thing, right? But it's just, and then of course what ends up happening is like one paper will come out that says, oh, if you eat chocolate every day for a year, it'll cure cancer, and it's just like it's one paper that says it, and then everybody goes, oh, everyone needs to eat chocolate. It's like, it's just one.
Just because that's what they want. That's great. Like, that's what they want to hear. One, it's something that you enjoy. And two, hey, guess what it does too? Let's just down all the chocolate or whatever it is,
Scientists can be wrong.
That's true.
We change our viewpoints, or like, when I say scientists can be wrong, I mean that like we learn through the scientific process. It's not like I'm saying I'm not going, like don't listen to your doctors and everything. Like that's not what I'm trying to say. I'm just saying like,
oh yeah.
We learn collectively through the scientific process, but by trial and error. How much did masks during COVID actually stop the spread? Did it stop it a little bit? Is that enough? Like, obviously it didn't stop it like a 100%. Of course not. Did it stop at 50%? Is 50% good enough though? Maybe. Did it stop at 30%? Is 30% enough? I'm just talking about percentage wise, right? At what point because all the anti-mask people out there, was like, at what point is it not? Is at what point forget the mask if they're not going to work 100%. Like, what if they work 10%? Like, it reduces the spread of COVID by 10%.
It's kind of like a condom, right? I mean, it's 97% effective, right, or whatever the percent. It's not 100%. Is the point? So, do you just throw the condom away? I mean,
We're talking about Noah's comedy show. Any other
hey,
comments
we're
about
getting
the-
some very positive comments actually here. And I was like, these are good conversations, by the way. CJ just popped in.
CJ.
It all comes down to money and politics at the end of the day.
Well, I will say this: politics and money significantly influence what's taught. What it's not like we have the man on a chair who's controlling everything. It's a network of many different factors. Economics and politics are just two of major factors. Obviously, people impact what kind of messages, in our digital environment. Now anybody can, a random person who 20 years ago, 30 years ago would have just been working at Starbucks his whole life. He can be like a huge influence on what's being taught. I feel like I'm losing Noah now. Noah.
No, you're not.
She's trying to find my channel for chat because we actually have a Noah fan that just
That's literally what I was doing. I
Yeah.
was trying to find it.
we have a Noah fan in the chat said, "Oh, it's Noah. Hey, gal pal."
Who is that?
That is CJ.
Oh, hey, CJ.
Man, you're getting
I
famous.
can't find it. I can't
getting
find
famous.
it on Twitch.
It's acid_train on Twitch.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was looking for the wrong
You
thing.
could
Yeah.
be making up all these comments, which is totally fine.
I could. It's working, isn't it? It's working.
Is that
Yeah.
what you're doing for real?
That's not what I'm doing.
Acid underscore.
If you were making up all
Yeah.
these comments, that would be the most impressive thing that I've ever seen you do. Just coming up with random comments.
It's Chat GPT. That's what it is. Let's see. Let me scroll up a little bit here. Oh, Bicep says, as someone who has published in academia with all the peer-reviewed journals, etc., even the fancy peer-reviewed stuff is about money and politics.
There's money and politics involved in it as well, of course. I mean, there's money and politics in every aspect of our society, but it's not like that's the only thing that's right. It's not. Yeah, it doesn't mean that what's being published isn't legitimate, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Right?
All right, let's go back to a Rogan comment, one of Anthony's favorite comments.
Let me just say this about Joe Rogan. If you like Joe Rogan and you like listening to Joe Rogan, fine. That's okay. You're not a bad person.
Anthony's getting haters for Joe for Joe
It's
Rogan.
okay. Right? Anyways, go ahead, Adam.
Saying, hang on, let me make sure this. This is a double comment, so it's back to back. Yes, that is kind of what I'm saying. He gets to choose who he listens to, just like other people get to listen to who they like. Everyone is free. Saying Rogan is wrong is a different statement than saying Rogan shouldn't be allowed to host whoever he wants. I think Rogan is wrong about lots of stuff, but he can do whatever he wants.
He most certainly can, and he does. So I mean, that's there's no one.
He's like, why does Anthony hate Joe Rogan so much?
I mean, there's nothing. If I had a magic wand and I could censor, if I could censor Joe Rogan, would I do it? No.
If I remember correctly, you were an avid Joe Rogan listener. I remember I can't remember who you were trying to beat, but you were cooking like a dozen eggs or something, and you were like, I'm going to show whoever, I can't remember who it was now, I'm going to eat this entire dozen eggs. And while you ate these eggs, I'm pretty sure it may be on YouTube. I don't know if you sent it to me. I don't know what it was for, but while you ate those eggs, you're like, oh, I got to get my Joe Rogan podcast in. And you had your Joe Rogan going while you're eating these eggs.
It might have been a joke, but I'm pretty sure it was Colbert that I was listening to.
Okay.
It's Colbert, which is very different than Joe Rogan. I mean, so when it comes, so no one's censoring Joe Rogan, and I feel like sometimes, like he acts like he's being censored. I mean, he's like he has millions of listeners, and he makes millions of dollars. And sometimes when he talks, he does kind of act like he's like a victim in a lot of ways. Like, did you see what CNN said about me? Relax, you millionaire with millions of.
It's like
you're not being censored.
publicity.
Oh,
There are too many people out there who use this whole BS. I'm oppressed because the mainstream media wokeness is trying to cancel. You're not being canceled. Like, hardly anyone ever gets really truly canceled.
right. The only way you get canceled is when people just stop watching or stop listening or whatever.
Exactly.
That's your cancellation. You can say, "Ooh, he got canceled." Well, he still got 20 million people listening, so obviously not, or whatever
I
it
got
is.
canceled as a stand-up comedian a long time ago.
There you go. There you go.
People just stopped laughing. That's the
It was
difference.
solely because of the jokes you were telling.
Yeah. Oh, we have a comment for Anthony. I don't know, but this Anthony guy seems like an okay guy, in my opinion.
Thank you.
There you go. So
Very
you're
nice.
good.
Was that CJ saying that?
No, that was Apollo. You have a friend in Apollo. You have a fan now.
I'm glad to have that friend in Apollo.
There you go.
Excellent.
We just canceled
No.
Anthony for roasting Joe Rogan.
Look in the power dynamics, Joe Rogan.
There you go.
I think he's gonna be okay. I don't think he's gonna worry about my criticism.
Probably not. Maybe he'll show up soon. I don't know.
Even if I publish a paper on him, which I'm probably going to, he's not gonna care.
I'm sure you're not the first one.
Oh no.
No.
I would love to like see a map of this entire conversation from like where it started to like how it got to where it ended.
We're
Like-
talking about school buses.
Yeah, we started off with magic shows, then
Magic,
school buses, then comedy shows, and
then
now,
Austin, Texas.
yep, we went to Austin, Texas, and now we're talking about Joe Rogan and Neil Tyson and all kinds of stuff.
I went into a little bit of a little
Margaritas.
lesson, a little lesson for everybody. A little
We
Dr.
did.
Dinar came
You
in.
got a little You get a little Dr. Dinar in here tonight.
We got
Everybody got-
PhD'd.
You
got a
got
free lesson
PhD'd. I like that.
There is I do actually like dark humor. I feel the one person who does it the best though is Anthony Jeselnik. Like I feel like he and I do feel like there is a big difference between trolling, like telling a joke because it's just because it's controversial, and then or telling a well-crafted. So the thing about Anthony Jeselnik, and I'm not the first person to bring this up about his style of comedy, is that his whole shtick is he tries to make you laugh at dark stuff, but he wants you to not be able to guess the punchline. There's always twists and turns. It's almost like he's doing like a magic trick.
Yeah,
Hey.
it's an escape room. It's like it's like an escape room joke. I love those. Those are my favorite. Like you don't know where you're going. You're in a maze, and you're just like, I have no idea where I'm at right now. I know that I'm happy and this is hilarious, but like, and it always ends somewhere you just least expect. I love it.
You know, it was so. This is one of my favorite jokes that he does. There's actually a lot of jokes that I really enjoy. It's a dark joke, but I think there's a huge difference between telling a joke just because it's dark, right? Like a TikTok Instagram joke. Like, oh, I'm gonna shock you with how you're not supposed to say this stuff. 9/11, like that kind of stuff, right?
Right.
Or versus like a well-crafted like joke that's dark, obviously, but funny. So one of the jokes he does is he talks about taking a friend to get an abortion, right? So obviously controversial subject, right? And he says there's many jokes that he does, like many punchlines in this story. But one of the funniest ones is like he says one of the things that surprised him the most about the abortion clinic was the amount of kids that are in there. And then he goes, and that gets a laugh, right? But then he goes, but it might have just been ghosts, and it's just like, just dark, but like just fun, like just I don't know. He tells a lot of jokes that are just like very dark, but like another joke that he tells that I really enjoy is this one makes it around a lot in the on TikTok and stuff. But he goes, I remember the first time I saw my dad's penis.
My God.
And he says, yeah, I remember the first time I saw my dad's penis, and I said, Dad, don't text me stuff like that. Just like stupid, just
Wow.
goofy stuff.
Dark and yeah, that's pretty dark. Dark and disturbing.
What
disturbing.
is your all-time favorite joke? Just like, what is a joke that you think is just so funny and that you laugh at every single time?
Okay, I'm going to tell you a joke.
Oh God, here it comes.
This one's not new. Obviously, this is not mine. I've heard it, but
It's joke hour, chat. Get ready, sit back, grab your
This
beverage.
is not my joke. This is.
Yeah.
I'm sure this has been told many, many times. Is the chat enjoying the?
They're ready.
joke
Oh, we
session?
got lulls all over the place, so you're good.
All right. So
Here we
this
go.
joke is fun that you tell with like a group of people. Like, and it's a guy joke too. It's a stupid guy joke, right? If you're a group of guys, and it goes basically like, hold on, let me see if I can tell the joke right. Okay, here we go. Okay, so you have a group of guys, 3 guys, and they're all talking about what they're good at. And one guy goes, "You know what? I think I'm the fastest guy in the world. Maybe I should go for the Guinness Book of World Records and try to beat that record, right?" So he goes and he tries out for it, right? He tries to become the fastest guy. And his other friend goes, "You know what? I think I might be the tallest guy in the world. Maybe I should try to beat the record for the tallest man." And he goes and he gets his measurements and everything. And the third guy goes, he goes, "You know what? I think I actually might have the smallest penis in the world. Like legitimately, like I think I have the smallest penis. Maybe I should go." And he gets it measured, whatever. And a couple weeks go by, and the first guy opens up a letter from the Guinness Book of World Records, and he goes, "Hey guys, look, I'm officially, like, I won. I'm officially the fastest man alive. I now have the record." Second guy opens up the letter, and he goes, "You're not going to believe this. I also got the record for the tallest man in the world, right?" And the third guy, he's all excited. He opens it up, and he goes, he reads it, and he's like, "Who the hell is Acid Train?" So that's you always got to pick one guy in the group. You pick one guy. It's a long setup.
There you go.
But it's all about like.
How did you know? No.
In the group, and you just,
Have you heard the joke by Norm Macdonald, the moth joke?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That is literally my all-time favorite joke in the whole world. I think it's so funny. It's the best.
What makes it so funny is Conan, like, just like playing into it too. He's like, "Is this joke ever going to end?" And he's like constantly laughing, and then the Norm is just like, he like pauses for a second, and then he keeps going, and he makes it longer. Like, it's just like, and then it gets to the punchline.
And it gets darker and darker and darker and darker, and then finally, it's just like over. It's so
the cheesiest, like goofiest.
It's so goofy and so dumb, but it's so funny. It's my favorite joke. If you haven't seen it, or if you haven't listened to it, you should look it up. It's pretty funny.
Not the joke. What's the chat saying, Acid?
Oh, they're laughing at your penis joke.
That's not mine.
They're laughing at me now. Now they all know.
The funniest part of the joke is you've got to pick one person who's there.
That's what he said. It's like, you got to roast somebody. That was a pretty good one.
Don't see it coming. And everybody,
What do you guys think about Ricky Gervais?
Gervais?
Gervais? I don't know that name. Who is that?
So I know there's controversy around him now. I haven't seen his new stand up. I thought, obviously he got really, I don't want to say famous, but he got bigger. Like he got when he was doing the award show. What was the award show that he was doing all the time? Not the Grammys, but the whatever, not the Oscars, the other one, right? And he would just roast all the celebrities there, and it would actually be like severe roast, and some of them were pretty funny. I thought they were pretty funny, but I don't really know the new controversy surrounding him. I don't know what he's saying.
What is it? I didn't know there was any controversy.
I thought there's something he's saying now, right? It might have been anti-trans stuff. It might not have been. I could have just been making that up.
Oh wait, yeah, there is something about him being transphobic.
No, that's what it was. Yeah. And of course, I'm finishing up a paper on lady ballers, where I'm talking about troll humor and right wing humor and that sort of thing. I'm kind of writing about that. So
Chrome wants to read your Joe Rogan paper when you're done.
I got to write it first. It got accepted. It got accepted. Now I have to write it. You could read the one that I wrote about lady ballers. That one should be coming out soon.
Oh, here we go. Are there topics that are just off limits to comedians, or should they be free to joke about whatever they want? Talking about dark humor or politically incorrect stuff.
I think it depends on what you mean by politically incorrect. 'Cause I feel and woke and all that kind of stuff. Because I feel like that gets thrown around too much, to the point where it becomes meaningless. This is my personal view. I always look at the power dynamics. I've never been a fan of punching down for the sake of punching down. I feel like you can punch down in ways where there's a fine line between punching down just to punch down, or making fun of the fact that we do have there are people who are lower on the social hierarchy, like making fun of how bad we all are as human beings, and referencing that by punching down, right? You see what I'm saying when I'm like pointing to, and I feel like Anthony Jeselnik does this a lot, right? It's more commentary than it is actually him, trolling marginalized people, right? So there's a fine line between that. But yeah, Noah, you want to go and add something? I could keep going more and more, but
Well, I think that there are just like lanes that you have to stay in. So, like if I mean, obviously, like if you're trans, then I feel like it's okay for you to talk about, joke about trans, issues or whatever. If you're, gay, lesbian, same thing. I think it's very uncouth for someone who is not a part of that community to speak on it or make fun of it. I just don't. I don't know. Like I find that humor very offensive, and I do not enjoy it. Now,
So you're not a
that's
big
not to
Dave
say
Chappelle fan. Is that what you're
now
saying?
that's not to say that there aren't people who do enjoy that.
hmm.
So if you as a comedian or a public speaker or something like that, if that is the reaction and the crowd that you want, if that's the publicity that you want, have at it. It's all on you. I personally I don't like it at all. So, and I would never do it. So, but yeah, I think that everyone has the right to say whatever they want to say, but you also have to live with the consequences.
Yeah. So it's almost like you have to judge if a joke is too offensive or whatever. It's almost like you have to analyze each individual joke. Like it's hard to say this particular comedian is offensive, right? Or this comedian's racist or whatever. That's not how things work, right? If to answer the question, you have to say which particular joke in what context do you feel like it's just to the point where it's no longer funny. It's just becoming mean. And when
Yeah.
you're being mean to people who are continually having to have to deal with that, it's no longer funny,
Yeah.
right?
When you're in, you know, a group of people that is constantly fighting for their lives, fighting for their rights, and then you're not at the same time like being beat down by comedy or like politicians or whatever. Like it's never fun. Like I'm the kind of person that would never want to put someone in that position. But there are comedians who definitely don't mind doing that. They're just not for me. Like you can say whatever you want to say. You're just not going to be for me. And that's okay. Like that's the beauty and like the art, I guess. Not everyone's going to be for everyone.
We have a,
But
we have an interesting point here. Said I would have to disagree solely because if a trans person, comedian or whatever, made a strong joke about a straight person, then what's the difference?
Yeah.
Okay,
So this
yeah.
is where the power dynamics comes into play, right?
Right.
So
straight
Uh,
people aren't being beat up on. Straight people are not like their rights aren't being taken away. They're, like it's that's where like what he was saying, the power dynamics come in. Like my son is transgendered. Like I would never like ever listen to a comedian who makes fun of transgender people. Like I used to love Dave Chappelle, but after he started making fun of the trans community, like it's no longer for me. I just will not support that.
yeah. So it's when I say the power dynamics are different, right? It's you often hear this when people say how come you can make fun of how come it's okay to make fun of Donald Trump all the time? It's like, well, because he was the president of the United States, one of the most powerful people in the world, right? Of course, you can make fun of Donald Trump. How come it's okay to criticize Joe Rogan and make fun of Joe Rogan? Because he's a millionaire who has millions of. I mean, it's the power dynamic. It's where you are in the social hierarchy, and
Right.
that's where punching down comes into play, right? It's a group of people who have been historically marginalized, oppressed, whatever you want to call it, having a difficult time. It's like picking on the small kid in school, right?
Mhm.
If there's one kid who's constantly being bullied every day, and you go up there and you kick them when they're down, it's like, is that fun? Is that funny anymore, or is that just mean?
Yeah, it's mean for sure.
Now, what if you went and made fun of the bully?
That's funny.
That's funny. Yeah.
So we have another. This is apparently a very interesting topic. We're getting a bunch of stuff here. Truth and morality don't depend on levels of power, though. Relativism falls apart. If something is, sorry, it moved. If something is wrong, then it's just wrong, regardless of power dynamics. That's my take, at least.
I disagree with that. There's
A
no
poor,
such thing
oh,
as
hang on.
objective.
A poor person can't stab a rich person and it be okay, just like a rich person can't stab a poor person.
I didn't think that we were talking about like
Truth doesn't discriminate at all.
Right. Right. I think where you're changing the context of the
Yeah.
argument by making it about like physical. It's still wrong. Right. So yeah.
we've
talking
hit
about
we've hit a very interesting
talking about
topic. It's
comedy.
going back and forth. Yeah.
We're talking about comedy here. And so let me go back to his original statement. And the original statement, and I feel like this gets brought up as a common counter argument to what I'm talking about, and that is the whole idea about like objective truth. Like there's such thing as an objective truth that's completely separated from the sort of societal factors, right? And that's just not how our reality works, right? You cannot separate culture, social, cultural, political context. It affects everything. To answer it better, we would have to come up with a specific example. But I guess if you believe that there is no social hierarchy, then you would believe that. But obviously, one of the main the biggest assumption that's part of my argument is that I believe that there has historically been a social hierarchy we have been progressively changing over the years. But there most certainly is a societal political structure that affects everything. You want an example of that? I'll give you an example. We have had 46 presidents. I'm going my lessons again. Here we go. I'm going Dr. Dinar. We don't have to go deep into this. I'm going to give you one example. It's one example. It's just one example. It's not a perfect
You should
example.
put your coat on, or your robe.
If you don't believe there's a social hierarchy, and of course this social hierarchy, it's not a snapshot and like this is the power structure. No, it's progressed over time, and the roots of this social hierarchy are still we have sediments that still affect our current like reality today, right? We've had 46 presidents in the United States. We've had 46, right? Out of the 46, how many of them have been a woman? 0. Out of the 46 presidents, how many of them have been non-white? 1. Out of the 46 presidents, how many of them have been non-openly Christian? 0. Out of the 46 presidents, how many of them have been non-Protestant? 2. JFK and Biden. Out of the 46 presidents that we've had, how many of them have been openly gay? 0. Right. Just one example of, I mean, it's the president is the most powerful position.
But is that why you're voting on them?
What was that?
But is that why you're voting on them?
That's why they get into office.
But is that the main reason they get into office?
I think it is plays a huge factor in them getting into office. I don't think that an openly gay or an openly atheist politician
open
would
open
ever,
atheists would not.
would
I think an
ever-
openly
they wouldn't even make it to like they wouldn't even be in the pool of like candidates for any sort of political position. Like
I'll say this: an openly like non-Christian.
yeah,
I would say that I would say that an openly gay person would be president before an openly non-Christian president.
I would agree with that.
Right. So I mean, this is just it's one example, right? And it's an imperfect example, but it kind of points to what I'm talking about when I'm talking about a social hierarchy. And if you don't believe it exists, okay. But I think we deep down we see it, right? Even if we don't want to believe in something like white privilege and that sort of thing, right? And of course, white privilege has nothing to do with. It doesn't mean that if you're white, you don't work hard. You didn't earn the things you got, right? That's not what that means, right? It just means that there's an uneven playing ground. And if you don't believe in that, that's fine, I guess. But I mean, you can look at the history and see it, right? I mean, it's the civil rights movements, 50s and 60s. That wasn't that long ago, right? So. There's many people who don't believe that there is a social hierarchy in the United States. There's a lot of people who don't believe there's such thing as white privilege. And oftentimes they frame it in a different way, like they try to misrepresent what that means, right? Um, but yeah, a lot of lessons we're learning today.
I know,
Obviously,
now we shifted to politics.
it is political in the sense that we're talking about structures of power. Yeah, yeah, and race and gender and sexual orientation and class and religion. These are all aspects of of identity that play into that.
Would
That's
you
the shit
take?
when you have a magician on the show.
That's right. Would you take politics out of the media in general?
It's impossible. You cannot take politics out of anything.
But I was saying, if you could, would you? That's the question.
You're talking about a reality that could not exist. It's like saying, would you take color out of the world? Would you take the color red?
You know what I would
out
take?
of-
I would take all prescription medication commercials off of television. I'm tired of seeing those.
Because so it depends on what we mean by politics. By politics, we mean
That's true.
structures of power, right? We're talking about like the sort of the societal, the cultural, the institutional structures of power, and you cannot talk about anything without it being affected by politics. Reality itself is affected by politics.
Politics. Play the mental game. Use your
It
imagination.
depends on what you mean. If you mean like politics and the like, we're talking about who's running for president
Sorry.
and that sort of thing, right?
Apollo says, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, Anthony, whoa! I'm colorblind and take high offense to that statement."
Yeah, that wasn't a great example, was it?
Anthony over here, like, we need to establish nomenclature before I have a conversation.
What was that?
Anthony over here, like, we need to establish nomenclature before I have conversation. As an independent voter, I could care less what or who you are. Just care about Americans.
Sure.
In Denmark, we wouldn't even care if the premier prime minister was satanic. That's a joke. He says it's a joke.
Probably not. I mean, it's very different in Europe. I mean, the United States is heavily influenced by particularly Christianity.
It's so weird because, like, if you think about it, the United States, like, it's like a business, right? You're running a business, so to speak. And, like, why are we choosing people to run the country based on their religious beliefs? Like, you wouldn't choose a CEO of, Facebook based on who, their religious beliefs. Like, why would you choose the person that you're going to have run our country? Like, you need you just need the right person for the job.
I need someone halfway intelligent that can keep me halfway safe.
Right.
And keep. But look, this is kind of what I look at when I vote for anybody. Am I still able to keep my shelter, my room, my home, or whatever, a shelter of some kind? Am I still able to work where I want, when I want, in that context of that job? Am I still able to eat? Obviously, I'm still able to eat, so I'm good there. Are my kids going to be educated and safe? Am I going to be safe? Is my wife going to be safe? Like, all these things. I don't care what religion you are. I don't care what color you are. I don't care what sex you are. I don't care. If you can make me feel good about the core things that keep me alive in the land in which I exist, then I'm good. I'm good.
I think most people feel the same way. I'm a little more into the weeds in terms of policy and politics and that sort of thing, but
Yeah.
that's kind of who I am.
I'm more like socially, I guess, as I'm like invested socially in politics.
Yep.
So like it matters to me what other people experience. So even if it doesn't specifically affect me, I will vote for what's best for people I care about, you know? So,
Because I think as far I mean, the separation between the church and state. Why can't we have separation between social and state and social and politics?
I 100% agree.
Like why is social politics even a thing? Like it shouldn't even be a thing, in my opinion.
It should
Like
not.
it does not.
You're preaching to the choir. I mean,
Yep.
why are politicians talking about what kind of books we can read in schools?
Right.
Why did the state of Alabama just ban the a diversity and inclusion office at Auburn University? How come I'm not allowed to talk about diversity in my classes anymore? Right. So I mean, I am the look. By the way, if we want to talk about censoring, let's talk about censoring.
Okay.
Right? Joe Rogan is not being censored. I could legally get in trouble if I were to say something if in my
Yep.
classroom. If I were to bring up white privilege in my classroom as a concept, as an idea, and a student didn't like that and reported me, I could be in legal trouble for saying that. And so the idea of white privilege is something that's been talked about in academia for a very, very long time as a concept and a theory, right? And it's not just like some person just made it up one day and we're all just ran with it. No, this has been talked about for a very, very long time. It's established. And if I were to bring that up in my classroom in the state of Alabama, if I were to bring that up in my classroom and a student didn't like it, by the way, a student has already reported me to the dean one time. This was before the new law passed, right? Because they didn't like that I was being too political, right? Once again, expressing my viewpoint. That's grounded in my research. It's my expertise.
Right.
And I am not allowed to express my opinion on the things. I'm a teacher who teaches what I know, what I study, and I cannot say certain things because if a student doesn't like what I say, they report me to the dean. If it gets out, then I'm in legal trouble. I'm legally being censored. So if you want to talk about censorship, that's true censorship. Banning books in school, that's censorship. So, I mean, the government getting involved in what a woman can do with her body when it comes to abortion, and that's government getting involved for religious reasons. So that stuff, that's actually happening. Right. I'm being canceled by the state of Alabama. How about that? You like that language? No, like,
Anthony's
seriously, I'm not
canceled now, I guess.
exaggerating. I could get in legal trouble for bringing up concepts that have been talked about for a long time in academia. So yeah.
I think endorsements from celebrities should never sway opinions of voters as well. So stupid.
That's just the way. That's our culture.
Yeah.
We're a celebrity culture. So what? That's going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, that's who we are as a culture. And if you don't like it,
Then
okay. But
stop putting celebrities on such a pedestal. If you don't like them endorsing, like, then don't, like, we hold celebrities to such a high, like, we worship them. If we stop doing that, they can endorse whoever they want, just like you and I can endorse whoever we want.
They have a
It doesn't
platform.
matter.
They have a
I
platform.
mean, our Donald Trump is a celebrity. He became president because he was a celebrity,
Yeah.
and like in the most fundamental way, he
Mhm.
was a celebrity who became president. I mean, that's just our culture. You don't like it. A lot of people like Taylor Swift. Okay.
Yeah, Beyonce, Taylor Swift, all of them. Like, if you don't like them endorsing whoever they want to endorse as president, then stop putting them on a pedestal. Stop worshiping them. So, I mean, like, because again, we all have a right to free speech. They can endorse whoever they want. They can say whatever they want. It's their right. So how are we going to censor celebrities from endorsing someone? But like, oh, but this comedian should be able to say whatever he wants about trans people. Like that doesn't make any sense.
It's just, from my perspective, it's just I hear people talking about, like they're griping about celebrities, and talking about politics, and they're human beings, and our culture loves hearing what celebrities have to say. It's just kind of who we are as a people. We're very individualistic, meaning that we like putting individuals on a pedestal, like, and celebrating that particular individual, right? Rather than the community at large. Like, we don't really celebrate our community that much, right? But this is a good talk. We're talking about Noah's comedy show.
I'm just look before we end the show, which I'm sure we're gonna have to do soon anyway. We gotta at least see some type of magic trick. That's
Oh my God, I don't have
you know.
any
I mean, my
magic
goodness. I mean, everyone here is like demanding magic tricks from
they really?
Noah. We need
tricks. They're not.
magic.
It's just one person.
It's everybody. Look at yes, give us magic, magic, magic.
Yeah, I don't have anything like out. I've like done a lot of cleaning.
You made your dog appear and disappear several times during
Yeah,
the entire show. So
Hold on, wait. Okay, are y'all ready? So,
okay, here we go.
all right.
Here it comes.
Hold on, wait. Here it comes. It's almost there. It's almost there.
Ah, ta-da!
That's a good one. It's the best magic trick ever.
Also, like, oh, this was behind your ear.
Oh,
Oh wow!
I don't have anything.
doesn't have anything. But so just so the
Oh,
chat
they
knows,
love the
like,
dog.
she has done magic tricks on the show before. She knows how to
There
do
you go.
magic. She's
Yep.
really good at magic. So I don't know
Yeah,
if some.
if you Google my name, you'll see my latest appearance on the Good Day Alabama. I did a magic.
Oh, I saw you posted
there
that.
you go.
Yeah.
What is there a link you can give me?
Yeah.
Give me a link. I'll throw it in chat.
Okay. Stop it, Hobbs.
I had no idea that we would be having conversations about society and social identity and the power structure today. Any other comments that we want to end on?
I mean, there's more political
CJ
comments. CJ never came back. I don't know where he went. He left. I mean, he might be lurking around, but he hadn't said anything.
People agreeing with what I have to say, people disagreeing with what I have to say. It's okay if you disagree with me. That's fine. We can. That's why I always feel like too often we frame everything as a debate. And this is another thing that I don't like about Joe Rogan is that everything has to be, and it's not just him, but everything does have to be framed as a debate, meaning that I argue with you, and one of us has to win. That's the problem with the debate is that if the idea is that one of us has to win, then we're less likely to actually listen to each other. We're less likely to come to a consensus. We're more likely to use fallacies and reasoning because all we want to do is win. Really, it should be a dialogue. It should be a conversation. We should be trying to get to know it. We should be trying to get to know each other's side and to come to some sort of consensus. But we rarely frame things as that. We frame it as you got owned. Did you see the college student that got owned by Ben Shapiro? Ben Shapiro, my arch nemesis, by the way. If you wanted to,
No, you love him. You know you love
oh
him.
my goodness, it's so my two arch nemesis, Noah, by the way, are Ben Shapiro and Jordan Peterson. Those are my two arch nemesis.
Is there
And
a-
in chat,
Let
if you
me
like
ask you this real quick because this might be a fun video to make. Have you seen the Ben Shapiro Tom McDonald rap video?
I have not.
Okay, don't watch it. The next time we're on, you're gonna watch it live, and I want to get your vanilla reaction to this
Oh,
video.
reaction video.
Rapping?
I don't want to give anything away. Do you know who Tom McDonald is?
Tom McDonald. That sounds very familiar.
He's a right or a conservative hip hop artist or rapper, whatever. There you go.
By the way, Ben Shapiro, I believe a long time ago, he said that rap music wasn't real music.
He did say that. You
did
are
say that.
correct. You are correct.
So he's kind of a piece of trash. Anyways, if you like Ben Shapiro or Jordan Peterson, chat, I'm so sorry. But anyways.
But we can end on this. I saw one.
Everyone
You
say
would like.
hi to Hobbs. He wants attention.
Oh, there you go.
Hello, hello. What was the name of the dog? Hogs?
Hobbs.
Oh, Hobbs.
Like
Oh, everybody knows Hobbs. We have a Twitch streamer in our family. His name is Wow Hobbs. So
Oh wow.
yeah, so everybody knows Hobbs. There's Hobbs the dog.
This is awesome.
People on all sides of issues, both liberal and conservative, both traditional and progressive, seem to be struggling to properly understand others. So many folks I hear or see blatantly don't care about valuing humans who disagree with them.
Sure.
So there you
I
go.
think most people feel that way. We're just like there's not a lot of like media personalities that are doing that. So we think that that's not how we should be doing things. Right. Having conversations with each other.
There you go.
But yeah, I agree with that.
But
I will
that's
say
it.
that I definitely know conservatives very well. I know them very well. So, as a progressive, I'll label myself as a progressive. I know conservatives pretty well. I mean, I study them. So,
They want to know if Twitter is the best place to keep up with Anthony.
oh yeah, sure. You can always keep up with me on Twitter, Anthony Denar at Twitter. There's Anthony Denar.
Here, hang on. I'll link that too. I have your Twitter stuff.
Elon Musk has also been kind of pissing me off lately, but we don't need that. We don't have time to talk about Elon Musk. Either.
That'll be next time.
I want to be on that show.
Yeah.
Here we go. All right, so
Thank you
here's
so much for the
Anthony's-
shout out there. I think I recently posted my Wolverine cosplay that
He
I
does
put
have
in
Wolverine
Dragon Con.
cosplay. Did you post that on X?
I posted that on X.
Oh, I see it. Yeah, there it is. Okay, I saw the Instagram stuff. But
It was a good photo too. Obviously,
That's a good
there's a lot of people who do very professional
yeah,
looking photos,
here.
and they'll
I'll
post
put
them on
it.
the Facebook
I'll put it
page.
full screen. There's Anthony's cosplay, full screen.
By the
Wolverine.
way, if you ever wanted to delegitimize me as an academic,
There
like if you
go.
don't want to take me seriously,
We'll
all
just
my
watch
opinions
these.
that I just said, just show that picture, and I was like, okay, we're no longer listening to.
Well,
this.
he made it himself. He made this entire thing
I did
himself.
make it. Mhm.
There you go. Nice.
But yeah,
They're fans. They are fans of your Wolverine. So there you go.
very good. Excellent. Yeah, but we'll go ahead and end the show. Noah, did you want to say anything before we head out today?
No, I mean, thank you for having me. You can find me on Instagram at Noah something. And then yeah, that's pretty much it.
Oh, I recently wrote something about for In Media Res. I wrote an article on anti-woke discourse about X-Men '97. So I coordinated a group of scholars. We wrote about X-Men '97, and I wrote an article on some of the anti-woke stuff that was going around about Morph being non-binary and all the sort of the hate that was going on about that, and I kind of wrote a little piece on that. So if you want to read that, then that'd be good as well. I'll probably post that on my Twitter.
And I don't write
Yeah.
anything. I don't write anything. I don't even read anything. So
All I do is read and write. That's all I do.
all I do is
And
play
work out.
video games and eat Doritos. That's it.
I do that as well.
And drink margaritas.
Oh, I do that as well.
I do that. Yep.
And
If there's
play
one
Switch.
thing we can agree on, it's that margaritas are awesome. That's it.
Fantastic. But that will be our end of our show. I want to thank so much Noah for being our guest here today. I also want to thank the producer of the show, Acid Train, and for all the people who were chatting with us. Thank you so much. That was a whole lot of fun to be able to have a conversation with you, even if we disagree. I always enjoy having conversations with people, getting a little into Dr. Dinar mode there at certain points. But yeah, definitely check out. Maybe we'll try to make this a little more consistent on Tuesdays. I like that idea. Our show
Sounds
on
good to
Tuesdays.
me.
We're probably not going to talk about politics every time, but yeah, that will be our show for today. For Noah, Acid, and myself. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.